And we're back. Once again, I am joined by Rhett and a fresh face this time. It's the Muslim, and we are here ready for PartinG, taking on Rain. It's going to be an absolutely fantastic semi-final to kick us off with. It's going to be a best-of-5 PvP. Like PartinG was saying, his biggest worry is fighting against Rain even, because it's an ex-teammate, PvP. But if he gets past that, he's confident he's going to go for the whole win. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we've got some solid PvP analysts over here, you know? Like,
we're
experts.
TZs, be fine. You guys got it all covered.
Honestly, though, like, regardless of race and stuff, whenever you play against a teammate, be it former or current, it always gets a bit tricky. Like, very, very tricky. Like, when Rhett played against TLO recently, matchups can come out really, really... Sorry to bring that up. But like,
the face was like, no, why are you doing this?
Why we go there?
Will you stop this, man?
Teammates and stuff, you know?
First time we've had you and you're causing trouble already.
It has to be done. Some spice in the room, you know? But like, it is very weird. Like, what you think this player plays like, he could potentially do something totally different to throw you off. And we probably won't be seeing a very, very standard PvP between these guys, given that they know each other very well. They'll be trying to play the player rather than just the game here.
Yeah, a lot of mind games I'm expecting.
Probably. I also took a look at PartinG's match history, and however strong he might be right now against Zerg and Protoss, Zerg and Terran, he actually takes a lot of random losses here and there against Protoss. So this actually, it's probably going to be the hardest matchup for him. And the last time he played Rain, he also lost, even though it was more than a year ago, actually, by now. He did lose. So I think this matchup right here for PartinG, like he said, if he can get past Rain, he probably is the heavy favorite for the tournament, but this is probably the largest hurdle he has to take so far in this tournament yet.
Well, he was saying when they were in the team house together, it was like a 50-50 win rate, but, well, I think Rain's looking pretty cool and collected in there. And just see, you got to kind of check them all out and see how they're doing, but...
If this game was like a year ago, I'd say it was 50-50. But Rain, as of late, like just in the last 6 months, he's not quite the monster he was. Like if Rain entered a tournament, you'd really think Rain was probably going to win that tournament wherever it was. Like when he first came onto the scene, I think he just got to the finals of the tournament and owned Dom Rigu in the final. And it was like, wow, Rain, he's here to stay. And he's always been like the most solid Protoss in the scene. Not a cheesy guy. He's always had a macro-centric focus. But right now, he's kind of in a slump, despite being in the top 4 of Gfinity. But, you know, maybe this is road to recovery.
These guys are kind of like different kings for different eras. Like 1-2 years ago, Rain was like the unquestionable best Protoss in the world. And over the past 6 months, PartinG has kind of taken over that role. So also in that sense, it's a really interesting matchup to see if Rain, he's probably looking to take back that title. And if he takes down PartinG right here, right now, that could be the beginning of recovery for him.
I don't know about you guys, but like, we were talking to PartinG and he was saying, oh, well, I go for a more relaxed approach. I'm not sat there after he's won yesterday and he was through to the brackets. He wasn't just solidly practicing. He wants to go out and enjoy himself. Well, I guess Rain, coming from his era, would probably just been sat there practicing away. I know he went with him, but afterwards he could have come back and just done some serious homework, depending on that. It could play a major factor into it.
Well, PartinG is a guy that likes to relax, and taking things too seriously, sometimes it just doesn't work for certain people, you know, like, and yeah, he is a guy that likes to party. Like, if you saw him at Home Story Cup, that guy goes
That's
ham.
always trouble, though.
That guy goes ham, dude. Like, yeah, he's really crazy, but I think that works out for him, you know, like, you've seen Welmu, one of the players in Europe, he studies half the time, and he's openly said, like, if I played all the time, I don't think I'd be as good, because thinking about the game, sometimes you can hit walls. So those little breaks you take, it allows you to kind of like sit back, look at it from like a different perspective. And then maybe if you were ramming your head against a wall, it allows you to take a step back, to take a leap forward kind of thing. So it works out for PartinG. And I mean, right now, is there a Protoss that you could say is definitely better than PartinG? I don't think so. I really think he is one of the top right now in the world.
It's kind of interesting you bring up the taking an easier approach, because with PartinG you can definitely see after he got out of the Kespa team, after he left SKT1 and got out of the regimented practice, playing 10 hours a day, and had a little bit more freedom, like we talked about, got to enjoy himself a bit more, his results have just gone up.
Yeah. Certainly.
Because he had that at StarTale as well. So obviously when he was at StarTale, it wasn't as regiment at all. And then he goes to SKT
so he seems to really
happens.
benefit from that more of a looser approach for sure. Yeah.
Also the fact that, I guess when he joined SKT, there was a lot of pressure on him. Like,
massively.
It got outed how much he earned per month and like for the year and stuff. And it was like, whoa, this guy's on the big bucks. And then he was in a team full of stars as well. Like back then it was like Sulky was on the team, Rain, Sue. Like they had this most star-studded lineup, and he never really got his chance to shine, or just didn't shine at all. Like maybe there was too much pressure, but since leaving, like one of his real big victories recently was Flash and Home Story Cup in the final. Like that series went all the way, but the final game on Foxtrot, like it was an unwinnable situation and he managed to do it. And ever since then, he just seems like a different beast, man.
Yeah, and he's always on Twitter saying he wants to party, he wants to go drinking, he wants to meet
girls.
girls
He said
all the
that,
time.
yeah,
It's all about the girls, man. Like
confidently asking for British women on stream.
Before he was messaging like me and Stefano, he was like, "Hey, you guys go," and we were like, "Oh, we're in London." He's like, "Yeah, you get me girls, right?" It's like, what? You're not going there for girls. When you're going there for a tournament, it's like, "No, man, the girls." Like it's, but yeah, he's quite a funny character.
If you could come away with a win and then come away with a girl as well, that'd be pretty much
I think
done deal.
It might be a good idea to follow him around tonight in London with a camera for some after tournament footage of just partying and women.
Well, you've given up my night now. That's exactly what I might plan to do. Now, we should be able to get the videos up on screen very soon and kind of talk through that. As we say, it comes up straight away and, well,
yeah,
Inferno Pool's actually making it in there.
It's a mirror matchup, so it's going to be the same for every race. There's certain maps that are going to be better for Blink. Certain maps like, I guess... Getting rid of Vani is kind of interesting because it has that easy first base. So I wonder why PartinG vetoes that. Maybe that shows he wants to be a bit more aggressive. What do you think, Ben?
You know, Secret Spring's an obvious veto just because it's a nasty map. It's not a good map at all. And like things like Blink, you can do anything on that map and get away with it. And in PvP, there are quite a few possible openings. But Vani Research Station, that's honestly one of my favorite maps in the pool right now. And as a Protoss, I can't think of anything that you wouldn't like to play against on that map.
Why? Yeah. Why would you want to play Inferno Pools, which is a huge map?
Way more random, yeah.
And potentially cross positions, PvP. That's really weird. That's so much distance. Like, I don't know how that game would go, and he chooses to get rid of Vani. That's really interesting.
I guess PvP is already a random matchup. That throwing a random map into a random matchup doesn't really change it too much.
Just kind of nullified.
It's kind of like, all right, you want to play the randomness of this game? Like, okay, let's go with it. And like, maybe we'll see something crazy. Maybe like they both go for a Stargate opening with like Mass Phoenix on that map. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this series because I actually haven't seen. In fact, I have seen Rain quite a bit. He likes to pull out DTs every so often in this matchup, and to say he is such or considered such a solid Protoss and stuff, he has some really neat builds, but also some nifty tricks up his sleeve.
Yeah, I think overall, Rain definitely also likes to go for the macro game. So overall in this series, I think we probably see PartinG attack a bit more, maybe use Blink Stalkers a bit more, and then Rain will probably try to just secure 3 bases, go for the Colossus, add the Archons like we always see in PvP. And honestly, I think PartinG definitely a Protoss player who can easily keep up with Rain in that regard. So we might see some really crazy late game games with Tempest and everything, and things can get really crazy with Tempest.
Now, one thing I'll go over here is like, how the arena's filling out now is it's looking pretty good. Tickets are selling a bit faster. It's the championship day. Everyone wants to come meet their pros. How have you found it for you guys? Like, obviously, we're in London. We've got a whole cinema to ourselves. You enjoying it? Feel like the treatment's pretty good? How would you rate it?
It's all right.
It's I expect this now. I'm the Muslim.
It's all right. It's all right. But no, I mean, it's really nice for me. Like, I live in Sweden now. So, like, coming back to my home country and stuff, get to meet the fans. And it's like, they come up and say, all right, like, total British accents as well, total Londoners. So it's really nice for me. And the crowd also, it's getting lively. Announcing the names, it's like, clap comes on. It's like, oh, Bailing's killing everything. Claps come on. It's really nice. It's lively. And British fans are always lovely. Like, the last time I was here, I think, playing, or the last time I played in a cinema was like WCS, which I think you were at as well.
Yep.
Like the crowd, it's very reminiscent of that, so it's nostalgic for me. And yeah, I always love British fans.
Now, we are going to be seeing Blingcast in this game.
Oh, Blingy.
I knew you'd love that. Just straight away Blingcasting. Are you looking forward to giving Bling some
well, you know,
back chat?
I know, like, Bling stayed in like Stefano's room last night, and no, he didn't. But no, I'm looking forward to see some Bling casting because, despite coming across as a bit of a pleb sometimes, he's definitely a knowledgeable fella. He likes to play the silly card, you know, but he's actually a smart guy with it. So yeah, I think he'll be dishing out some big knowledge bombs, and if he isn't, well, you know, it's just Bling.
And I asked him the same question. I was like, oh, you're kind of ahead of the Muslim in terms of playing. What would your take on that be?
I mean, I don't really want to talk about it. No.
Oh,
no, okay, like in tournaments, like, there was kind of this rivalry that was forced upon us. It was like...
Was it War of the Roses
War
you guys
of the Roses.
did?
I was like, what? I'm in America. You're in England. Like, okay, we're both from Britain, but it's like, who's the best British player? Like, Total Biscuit started hyping it up. And it was really good for us and stuff, but it was kind of like, we started kind of like hating each other without even like wanting to, you know. But like
forced hatred.
Yeah. So and also he was proper cheesy back then too, which made me hate him even more. But like no, he's a good fella now. But we're relatively even, to be honest. Like in tournament games, I think he has the edge on me, but it's still pretty close. But in ladder, like yeah, I have the edge on him. But you know, he wins where it matters. So.
Okay. There needs to be a rematch, I think.
Yeah, I was going to come to that.
It's really about time. Maybe Legacy of the Void.
Yeah.
In this stadium, perhaps we make something happen.
You know, if Bling has his gear, which I think he does, I wouldn't mind giving him a show match.
Oh, look at that. We should try arrange this. The Gfinity, best of British taking on each other.
Again, that forced rivalry. You know? just can't avoid it.
No, you got to live with it now. It's going to be your forever rivalry.
Yeah, I'm all right with it.
It's really though. You are the best of friends, so it's not too bad.
We're good pals. Yeah, we're good pals. Like we just joke around. Like he teases me, I tease him, and yeah, he's a good lad.
At some point for the rest of this event, we need to drag me, you, Bling there, and just do a British banter session. No one will have a clue what's going on. Just be us three. Just be like,
it's pretty much the Bling show when he sits in it.
Oh yeah,
like.
I'm the boss. Like
he just comes in, just kind of like goes and just does his thing, you know. But he's very. I enjoy him.
Now, I've been focusing on the Muslim for so long. Like, how have you been finding it in terms of interaction with the fans and things? Is this a bit nicer at this event for that kind of action?
Yeah, I've also been here once before, and the English Starcraft fans, they're always really friendly, really nice. They always are like, hey, let's go drinking right away. Like, seems like everybody here just loves drinking beer so much. So yeah, I really enjoy the atmosphere, and I can't wait to get some time to actually sit down in the cinema and just enjoy it, because the seats are so damn comfortable. I just want to sit there all day.
Yeah, then VIP seats as well. If you can grab yourself some of them.
So much better. Like, I'm so used to like going to MLG or whatever or other tournaments.
Where you
like
struggle
really
to get a chair.
Yeah, you're like,
you get like a garden chair.
You sit on the ground like next to a garbage can. And you can't get like any food or anything. We're in a mall, which is awesome. There's like 5 different restaurants. There's groceries here. You can get anything really.
The recliner seats are so good though.
It's amazing.
I haven't actually sat and just watched Starcraft in a cinema before. Like, you know, I didn't realize how good it could be. Like, when I saw that picture of Naniwar in the cinema, I didn't really truly appreciate what it could be like, you know. But yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's the right setting. We get some popcorn, we get some hot dogs, get some drinks. Just be like,
this is how Starcraft is meant to be.
I can enjoy the show now, that kind of thing. Now, Nando's has been a hot topic for us.
Yeah, I've been there. You know, I actually sat down with Petraeus for like an hour, and then we realized we had to go up to the counter to make our order. So I was just sitting there for an hour waiting, and nothing was happening. So at first it was actually pretty disappointing, but the food was actually quite all right. So
how did you manage to stay calm for the entire hour? Just like, they must be really busy.
I mean, you've had Peter here. You know how much he talks, so it was easy.
Peter.
I'm not calling him Peter anymore. Oh, the poor, his calmness is like...
He likes it.
Yeah,
his face does not say that.
I see a twinkle in his eyes.
Yeah,
every time we mention it, it's like, Peter.
He came walking to us at the airport. It was like I was only waiting for 5 minutes for him to come, but he came crawling along, you know, like, and it's like, Peter! And he's like, don't call me that. I'm like, all right, Peter.
Thing is, the way he says it, because everything he does is so calm, you just want to say it a little bit more. It's like, oh, okay.
But everything he does say, it always is very smart and makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah.
So,
his knowledge is second to none. The guy is smart, but...
Well, I think he plays more ladder than anybody I've ever known.
It's so annoying. Sometimes you get home after a night out at like 3 a.m. You're like, yeah, I'll play a ladder game. There's no one good on right now. It's like the first name you see is like Petraeus. Like, I have to try now. It's going to be so hard. I didn't sign up for this.
If I play 20 games, like... 12 of those will be against Petraeus for sure, like, you know, and he's basically my best friend on ladder, you know, because I meet him so often.
Yeah, you guys get along so well. He's like cheesing him every single time.
Oh, so first of all, you call him Peter, so you're in his head, and then you just cheese him. Yeah. just kick him while he's down.
I mean, like, I think Peter's a really nice name, you know, like, especially, like, Petraeus is quite difficult.
Well, yeah, I stumbled on that yesterday.
I saw you struggling, so, like, Peter, yeah. Takes the place quite well.
Maybe we'll get a petition and just say, look, officially you've got to change your name. All these people were agreeing with us. Peter is the way forward.
I really like these random names that people come up with. It's like Nathanius was talking about his 2v2 tournament that he's running. And then one of the top players in the tournament, like people have got names like Pure Legacy, but then his 2v2 partner's called Larry. And it's just like, all right, it's probably not even called Larry in real life. You know, it's like, I'll call myself Bill or Larry or something. I think it's funny.
You can do what you want online. Just have a new nickname every time.
So how about those matches, guys?
we're waiting for the
what's
match.
happening, Banks?
Well, I've got the lovely people in my ear, and we're just waiting to get all the players ready. Everyone's got to be perfect. This is the first best of 5. This is going to be serious.
I mean, what else can we say about this PvP? Like, Starkers are really good, so we'll see lots of those.
Colossi
Mothership is so good.
Everything that Protoss has is pretty freaking good.
How many games do you think are going to be decided on just one base?
2.
2 of them?
Yeah.
I think just 1.
Who do you think is going to win?
Ooh.
I think PartinG 3-1.
3-1?
3-1.
I'm thinking all the way.
I want PartinG to win because I want to see PartinG against Rogue, but I actually think Rain is going to do it.
You think Rain's going to win?
Yeah.
Wow.
3
So wait a second. You just said you want to see PartinG versus Rogue, which means you think Rogue's going to go through as well.
It's because PartinG's PvZ is so clean and good that seeing him against Rogue, because Rogue is potentially one of the best Zergs, so seeing how he'd deal with it is pretty
That's the
interesting.
ideal
I'm just
matchup.
looking for like that Zerg who's like, hey, PartinG, you're nothing to me. I kill you like this, and then I can go on the ladder and do the exact same thing.
So you're just going to copy it. It's like, yes, I've got the build now. This is the win.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we shouldn't be too far away from this great game, but I really want to see the game go 3-2. That's my personal preference. I want to see something exciting go right down to the wire.
Yeah, there's been a little bit too many just quick
2-0s.
Like,
yeah, I was
every
like,
game
I want to see a bit more. I want to see the tension build up.
Yeah, you want to see like one guy take a game, then the other guy, then like an epic final battle, like 40 minutes long, non-stop action. We've not really seen that yet in this tournament, but hopefully the best will come at the end.
Well, the casters are finally ready. We will now fire over to Bling and Kaldor. Good luck, Bling, and have a good time.
All right, guys, our first semi-final, a best of 5, and it's going to be a Protoss versus Protoss. I have my casting virgin next to me.
Casting virgin.
That's what you said. Yeah. I promise I'll be gentle.
Some big German guy telling me he's going to be gentle. Always good.
Well, the first game is going to start in a bit. We had a bit of trouble setting everything up, but right now both of the players are ready to go. And we have a Pros versus Protoss, and PartinG, of course, so far mainly dealing with Zerg players, and we've seen him annihilate one after another without even dropping a map. Rain, on the other hand, now a very different beast. What are your personal thoughts about the game now?
I'm just going to throw it out there for everyone that already knows. I am Coach Bling for PartinG, and I've actually had a pre-game discussion with him, and he's feeling very confident just at the fact that I'm going to be so close to him. And we're actually in the same room, so he's actually feeling pretty good about that.
You're going to hold his hand if he loses?
Yeah, sure. I'll comfort him. I'll do whatever needs be. In the series, though, I'm a bit anxious because I don't know how it's going to go. Obviously, I want PartinG to win. He's my boy. I don't want to be too biased towards that. But it's going to be close for sure. It's a PvP. It's a coin flippy matchup. Everyone knows that. It never goes the way that you want it to go. No matter how much you prepare, something else will always come up. It will always be different. So you can never really tell, and you can never really predict accurately, in my opinion.
Well, we're going to start with the first map. Deadwing is map number 1, and all the way down to the bottom right, we have our Protoss player in red. It is, of course, PartinG. PartinG so far, once again, without a single map loss in the tournament thus far. He's going up against the Protoss player all the way up to the top left, cross position on the 4-player map. In blue, we have Rain. Now, Bling, talking a bit about Protoss versus Protoss on this map in particular. I mean, it's one of the few 4-player maps that we actually have in the pool here, with the cross position that we have. How do you expect both of them to open up and to play this, especially considering that it is actually the first Protoss versus Protoss that they play in this tournament?
Yeah. On this map, it's kind of difficult because there's so many mind games that are usually involved in this map in particular, because obviously it is a big map, and what do big maps usually imply? It's like, yeah, I'm going to be able to take my expansion pretty quickly, but in PvP, that can be pretty punishable, and it's always kind of trying to be ahead of your opponent. What is my opponent thinking? What is he thinking? I'm thinking, and it's just so forth. So it's really kind of back and forth. Obviously, fast expansion plays are pretty common. Stargate play is also very common as well. In PvP, kind of at the moment, it's usually a Twilight Robo kind of style. That's the safest kind of style to go. But obviously, you can mix that up a bit. We're going to pause now.
Okay, so apparently we had a bit of a problem there with the observer PC, and need to wait what exactly is going on with that. I don't think we have to restart the game here, but even if so far nothing really happened. But yeah, talking about the strategies that
as long as PartinG's PC is okay, I'm okay. That's all that matters. All right, it's only the observer machine. That's great.
I mean, yesterday actually we had a problem, I think, with Jadon's PC, and they just simply didn't even try to fix it. They simply swapped out the PC. So it can't take too long.
Well, that's favoritism.
Yeah. What?
That's favoritism, man. If PartinG's PC broke, I'd be the first one in there to change it, man, straight away. No
okay,
doubt.
We're going to have that on camera for sure. So you took that quite literal when you said you're going to hold his hand and help him out with that.
I will. Yeah. I will. I'll do that.
Talking a bit about the matchup now in general, who do you think is going to be the player who will have the tougher time here? We've been talking about that, especially PartinG played a lot against Zerg these days. And against Protoss, he didn't play all that many matches. Do you think that really affects him? How much did he prepare for a Protoss player, considering that there are not that many Protoss around in this tournament here?
Well, I don't know. There's only so much you can prepare for PvP, like I've already said. In the past, Rain's style has been a lot more different than PartinG's style in particular. Rain's always been this solid macro Protoss player that's always kind of been on the defending end of all the kind of attacks that Protoss throw at you. He usually just tries to play out, defend the attack, and then kind of overwhelm his opponent later on in a macro game. PartinG, on the other hand, as we know, he's got that kind of MC style about him. He can do absolutely anything. He's good at absolutely anything as well, which obviously makes him a really difficult opponent to play against. So if that's anything to go by, I guess PartinG will probably be on the aggression, the aggression side of things, and Rain will be receiving the big boy PartinG.
So you definitely have your favorite pick here. We could tell that over the entire weekend. Unfortunately, Targa didn't make it. What would you do if Targa actually ends up in the final against PartinG?
You know what? I don't know. I wouldn't be on the analysis desk. I wouldn't be up here. I'd be in the audience, and I'd be enjoying every second of that. Feet up, popcorn. I'd be enjoying that.
So you're liking the actual setup here with the cinema and everything?
Yeah, it's wicked. It's actually quite intimidating for me because this is the first time I've actually been in the room when there's like, yeah, you need to go to the main stage. I'm like, where is the main stage? All I know is this little chill out area, which I've kind of been a bit laid back and relaxed in, which I kind of need to not do anymore because people are making fun of me. But yeah, I guess it's cool. It's very, very cool.
It was actually a pretty tough task to actually bring him in here to the casting area because, yeah, you were a little bit intimidated, weren't you?
Of course. Of course. Sitting next to you, then in here, yeah, it's very intimidating. I've never really done anything like this before. And the fact that Ben kind of put me in an awkward position yesterday where he could have actually filled in for me and done a bit of TVT analysis to save me a little bit, but he didn't. He wanted to put me in an awkward position. So I could have actually done that back to him, but good guy Bling.
I couldn't believe that for a second.
Yeah, I thought I'd help him out. So
yeah, I'm not quite sure.
He's actually on the analysis dash now, so I guess it's kind of even.
Does that make up for it?
Not really, but in some ways, I guess, yeah.
So you're looking forward to his PvP analysis later on after the series?
I'm looking very forward to it, actually. Yeah, especially after, as he walked in this morning, he wasn't looking too fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that he had a pretty late night.
Yeah, I guess he did. I think he shared a room with Stefano once again. Just so everyone is aware of that. I know exactly what he's doing right now. I know exactly what he's doing right now, and he's going to be mad at me. But
you know that after the game, you actually have the opportunity to just walk over to the analysis room and stand there and just throw in random comments when he's trying to do the PvP analysis.
Yeah,
you could do that.
Yeah, I think we should do that. I think if I'm here, someone else should do that. So yeah, let's make it as difficult as we can for him as possible.
What do you think about that idea that you guys should play a show match again?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to, for sure.
All right, we're going to replace the final. First of all, we're going to have the British show match. I'm
saying that because he actually called me a cheesy player back in the day, which is probably actually very true. But I feel like most Protosses at the time were, so I can kind of, you know, that can kind of get dropped to one side for a second. But the fact that he's actually ahead of me on ladder isn't because of straight up standard, you know, solid games. It's actually because he 2-rexes me and in-base proxy barrackses me and stuff like that. So,
from what I've heard so far, the Muslim kind of cheeses everybody on ladder. We're talking about betrayal.
Cheesy, man. He called me cheesy. Nah, he's cheesy. He's cheesy. He's known for being cheesy. He is 2-rax king. That's what he's known for.
All right. I'm not quite sure what exactly is going on with the Observer PC. And, well, I guess we're going to go back and give the analysis actually a chance to chip in.
Are we going to do that? Are we going to
keep
do
the
that?
banter going?
Can I just check if the Muslims in there, please, before we do that? All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we'll give him a chance to answer to that, and we'll be back as soon as the technical difficulties have been solved. So, guys, see you in a sec.
Welcome back, everybody. We were doing so well for technical issues, but I think Bling's going to be pretty unhappy that the Muslims sat back here once again. And, well, Bling, have you got some responses for all of that?
You know, like, what do I say to Sam, really? Like, I'm glad he looks so comfortable up there, you know? Like, he doesn't look bright red at all, or, you know, those swallowing and like, oh. But, yeah, Sam, you're doing a great job. Love you.
Well, Sam will have to wait for his cast. And this is probably the worst thing to happen to him, considering he was like, don't think I really want to cast yet. And then we get a technical issue, so he's got to sit there and deal with waiting around a little bit longer before he can come into the game and cast. These issues do happen, though. We know that happens at many events. We were doing so well with lack of issues, and well,
yeah,
they do creep in.
Only the second thing, so it's not that bad. I'm sure it will be quick.
Yeah,
a little bit annoying
it's
for
one
the players,
PC.
But luckily it wasn't like in the middle of the game or anything. And
Yeah, right at the start, before anything got started, so they don't have to keep their timings in their head and what have you.
Yeah, it's not going to... The worst thing is when it goes down mid-game,
yeah,
and then
you're
like...
in the middle of a fight or something, that's the worst.
Yeah, that's the killer right there. But how do you guys deal with these kind of situations and delays when you're playing?
Just sit back, relax. I mean, there's not much you can do, so you got to just not let it affect you. Just try to rethink what you were doing, focus on the game. I don't know, read Twitter, check Reddit, check Facebook, text my mom.
There you
I don't
go.
know, whatever.
But is there some players that really like let themselves get affected by it, like they're just ready to go and then...
There's some, but they let themselves get affected by anything. So
okay,
honestly, like, there's nothing you can do, so don't try and do anything. Just deep breaths, make sure you stay calm. And yeah, just relax. Like, there's
Maybe that's
nothing
what the advice Bling can take for this.
a little bit, I hope.
We'll just keep bantering him back and forth on that. But
I like seeing the bright red bling, though.
bright red Bling.
Pretty relaxed up there. I think he's got a very promising casting career ahead of him, to be honest. I think you guys should definitely hire him as a caster, just specifically for the next event.
Or a host.
Oh, look at that, trying to challenge me for my position. That's fine, I'll let... Bling looks more comfortable. He's just like, just doesn't care. Just
he
fire questions
chair,
at me.
You know?
Yeah, he's definitely... He's got that presence,
He's made for...
Throw it at me.
He's made for, like, black chairs and black sofas and stuff, you know?
Where are you going with this, man? This could go very dangerous, slippery slope right now. Leather couches. Bling's favourite.
You said it.
I'm going to have to continue this on now. No, all respect to Bling is he's gone up there and casting. Not what he came here to do, not what he intended, thrown right into it, but heavily needed for the PvP matchup. And
you know, it would be good if we had two Blings, like one for there, one for here, because then you could actually tell us a bit about PvP and stuff. Like, I'm kind of a little sad that we didn't just have the camera locked on him and him actually just talking about PvP. Like, in all seriousness, you know, like he could actually probably delve into PvP and both these players, because if you are a Protoss, these are two of the guys that you watch fanatically, you know, like you will watch these guys no matter what they're doing, who they're against. So Bling probably does have some pretty good info on them.
And I think as well, from Bling's point of view, you were saying about doing a split there. What we could try is split half the screen, just add him in here. Maybe put him on this screen and he could join in the conversation. We could just have a four-seated one. We'll grab Bling on here.
Like Home Straight Cup, just with a big...
Oh, production just told me I don't think we can do that.
A big paper statue of Bling for whenever he's needed elsewhere.
Yeah, just
also
like...
great.
There he is. There is a Bling of some sort. We do have him. We've got his presence. Well, it shouldn't be too long now as we deal with this. I'm having the people talk to me in the ear the entire time. It's not too bad, but we can't really say too much about the PvP matchup because sat with Zerg and a Terran, and my knowledge is absolutely useless on this.
But also, even the people that do know about PvP, we can't say what they're going to do because there's so many options of what you can do in games. Like whether you open up Twilight Council, Stargate or Robo, and even if you do one of those, there's so many options what you can do from there. So PvP, it just branches out, and like you could talk about all the possible options. Like even if you make a Stargate, is it going to be a Phoenix? Is it going to be Oracle? Yeah, you can't really.
Definitely a bit of a rock paper scissors matchup. Like the Stargate is really good against the robotics opening, and then the Twilight Council opening is really good against the Stargate opening, and then the robotics opening is really good against the Twilight Council. So you kind of have that dynamic in the beginning of the game, And then there's also, I think, 2 different styles in the mid game where one guy might decide to go for a lot of Immortals, Archons, and Charge Lots. And then a lot of people play purely Mass Colossus, which I never really understood why one would go for one or the other. But it's kind of interesting to see if we're going to maybe see it in this game, which one is better. Do you know why some people just forego Colossus completely? Like, what's the logic behind it?
They try and get out a faster army, like Colossi tech and Colossi in general. You have to fight in chokes. Whereas, like, the Zealot Archon style with the Immortals, it's very busty if you fight out in the open. And you can also get that army faster. So they tend to, like, try and do more with it. But I guess you can also kind of limit them to bases. But honestly, every time I see Colossi against anything else, I see the Colossi win.
Yeah. It usually just melts everything, you know, those laser beams. It's...
yeah, they're pretty fascinating.
Pretty damn powerful.
Just clearing the way with Colossi. That'll be the way forward. I'm hearing in my ear that they have got into the lobby now, so we shouldn't be too far at all from going live with this. But I think, as PartinG said, he's confident that whoever wins this game could go through to the finals and do it. You guys want to see him go up against Rogue. I'm wondering if we have a score update on that game yet as well. I'm hearing it coming through slowly. So if I can get that'll be helpful.
Is that on the second stream or is that after this game?
They've closed it down, so I'm seeing if we've got an update at all.
I'd imagine Rogue's winning. It's against True, yeah?
Are they playing it on the second stream right now?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, like no Terrans left, by the way.
No, but there were only 4 Terrans, and one of them was a foreigner. And the other one was Hart. And then Jakji, like, okay, if Innovation was here, like, I know where you're going with this, and I'm just going to shut it down right away. Like, okay?
What's wrong with Hart and Jakji?
Innovation, Maru.
What's wrong with Hart and Jakji?
I mean, they're really good players, but, I mean, Rain, PartinG the best Protoss in the world right now.
What's wrong with Fantasy?
Nothing at all. Nothing wrong with
you can't knock Fantasy, can you?
No. Fantasy.
He was out in groups,
But what has Fantasy done in Korea, honestly, compared to PartinG?
Oh,
this is blasphemous.
No.
Oh, no.
Blasphemous.
Rogue is a regular Pro League starter, like, hello.
Yeah,
he's like the ace for Jin.
Trying to defend Zerg so much.
Nah. There were 8 Zergs at the tournament, so of course Zerg's going to do well.
I just wanted this to happen, you know.
Yeah. No. He does this a lot. Like he's a really, really whiny guy about Terran in general.
I'm a beta.
Let's be honest. Yeah. There's like a Blizzard chat with all the official people, and he'll just come in there and make ridiculous statements just to get reactions out of people. So
I don't even like believe what I say. I just say it to like
there's like 8 people talking about some problem, and then he's like,
I'll even
says the complete opposite.
I'll even message him beforehand. I'll be like, hey, watch this.
Watch what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
Destruction.
Hell breaks loose. It's awesome.
The biggest balance troll. If David Kim is watching, never ever talk to the Muslim. Never.
I was actually
credibility's going down a little bit here right now, Ben.
You know, I helped quite a bit in the early stages actually.
You helped, like before HOTS came out, and Terran was OP for like 4 months.
Yeah,
I helped quite a bit.
So that's what you worked on. You were like,
when I actually talked with David, it was like when Void Rays could outrange Marines in bunkers and stuff, and I was like, can't have that happening, Dave. Right?
Can't have that happen.
That's ridiculous.
I think Banelings should also be removed from the game, and mutas are way too fast. You know, like it's just too hard for me right now. Terran is too weak, right? Something like that.
Well, we see no Terrans left in the tournament, yes.
No,
I mean,
but you
can't argue with fact, mate.
You need to work a little bit harder on getting them to move on this.
Terran won SSL, right? And then you can't really count Life as a Zerg win because he's just...
No, you can't,
he's just
can't count him.
He's his own race.
The fourth race.
He's like Moon in Warcraft, exactly.
Life
he's his own special class.
He's amazing.
He really is, yeah.
So you wouldn't go copying his builds because you don't think you could do it?
No, I can't copy Life at all. It's just... all these games that Life are winning, most of them, I just feel like he's not supposed to. Like, you can't really look at them and take something from his strategies because it's always he does something to mind trick his opponent. Things go his way, and somehow, some way, he finds a way. Life always finds a way. And for us Zerg players, we rather watch guys like Sulky, for example,
Rogue,
or Rogue. Dark is a really good guy to watch because he's always playing the same way, like
so
the same approach, and you can really see like this is step 1, this is step 2, this is step 3, and you copy it. But Life, it's like all over the place, and you need to be him to be able to play like him.
Got to have that mentality.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. The game is ready. We are finally here. No more delaying this. It's going to be a fantastic game between PartinG and Ray, and it's going to be back to Bling and Caldor on the casting desk.
All right, so we have the restart from replay, and after this fantastic PvP analysis that we just had there, I don't even know what I need you for, Bling. But
Neither do I, man. Neither do I. That was pretty good.
But yeah, we're back in the game now, of course. So whatever the problem was with the Observer PC, it has been fixed here. We are still looking at the first map of our best-of-5 series here in the semifinal at the Gfinity Spring Masters. Both of them already scouting and sending the probes out, and none the wiser where exactly their opponent spawns. But we already see a pylon up to the top right.
Right, and what does that tell us? That is either going to be a Stargate or a Twilight Council. Now, in that... Okay. Now, as we was talking about a little bit earlier...
Did you talk to Rain too?
I didn't, but they used to be ex-teammates, so who knows. But yeah, as we was talking about a little bit earlier, PvP is very, very coin flippy. Now, this is the definition of a coin flip. Who does more damage? You can't really tell. Obviously, PartinG does have the edge because his Stargate is a little bit earlier, but it just depends kind of how they control it. It's obviously going to be Oracle, that is, and it just depends kind of how they control the Oracle.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one for sure. I mean, we've been talking about them being former teammates, and of course, they know each other quite well here. But it's pretty ridiculous that on map number 1, we immediately have a situation like this. It's going to be an interesting one. I mean, you can't really tell who's going to have the upper hand here, but from what you said earlier, Rain usually the guy who's more on the defensive, so would you think that he is the bit of the upper hand defending against the Oracle, or do you think it's like, well...
I think in this position, I don't think anyone's really going to have the upper hand. I feel like... because these Stargates are kind of early as well. They're a little bit earlier, PartinG especially. So I feel like obviously PartinG will do a significant amount of damage more than Rain, purely at the fact that he's going to hit a little bit sooner, and Rain's photon overcharge isn't going to be out as soon as PartinG's will be. So, oh, and the follow-up, the Twilight Council, that's pretty nice, depending on if that's in the main, which it is. So it looks like it's probably going to be a Blink follow-up from PartinG. And Rain. Okay, so it's PvP, guys. It's pretty much all the same. But yeah, as you can see, PartinG's Oracle already on the way, as is Rain's, but PartinG's a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, so we have the additional gates added a bit faster for Rain in the situation, but both of them going straight for the Twilight Council. And the Oracles are actually about to hit the main base right now, both of them moving in right away, and there's very little defense thus far. One Stalker down to the bottom, but 2 already going down. Oh, we have actually, like, so far, the kills a bit better for Rain. You're getting 5 kills in total.
Actually, that's for PartinG.
Yeah, PartinG actually, yeah. Up to the top, but he lost the Oracle.
Yeah, so it's just he managed to do that because, as we said just before, Rain's photon overcharge would be a little bit later than PartinG's, as his cybernetics core was a little bit slower, not too much. I think it was like 1 or 2 probes slower than what it usually is. But yeah, as we can see, 5 probes killed compared to the 2 of Rain's. So yeah, I guess a nice little lead for PartinG.
How important is it to have that Oracle still around in this situation now for?
It's pretty important. I mean, if you've got the threat of an Oracle, that means PartinG or Rain can't move out without leaving a significant amount of Stalkers to defend at home, so they won't be able to put on too much aggression. Rain's doing a pretty ballsy move by doing that. I don't know if he left any Stalkers at home or not, but the fact that he's being aggressive is kind of ballsy.
Yeah. He's super aggressive right now, and that's a ton of Stalkers. That's 8 versus 5, and he just snipes the Mothership core. No photon overcharge, no nothing, and now suddenly PartinG is in a bit of trouble here. He has definitely not enough Stalkers as his opponent, losing the first few probes here as well. There's no aggression from PartinG thus yet, and PartinG is in a lot of trouble. Do you actually think that he can defend against this?
No, he went for the Robo, and that's obviously a lot of minerals and gas invested into that, and yeah, Rain's just going from the aggression.
Really nice. Unpowering 2 of the gateways here. Blink is about to be done there as well for PartinG, but that is hitting extremely late for him. Rain doing a great job here, moving in again, taking down Harvesters. 20 workers against 4, and it looks like Rain is going to take game number 1 here. Only a single probe left for PartinG. PartinG losing his Stalkers now as well. Not going to be happy about this start into the game. 26 probes killed already, and Rain is going to take this. PartinG microing his heart out a bit, but he's not going to be able to change the outcome of game number 1.
Yeah, that's just kind of a little bit unfortunate for PartinG there. They went through exactly the same builds, and although it was the same builds, it kind of differentiated in the sense that Rain was being aggressive and he was playing a little bit more risky, and PartinG was playing a little bit more safe with the Robo, obviously, and yeah, Rain was just able to get a lot more units than PartinG did.
Yeah, Rain with a smile there immediately. The aggression definitely paying off for him. And now with a 1-0 lead in the best-of-5 series. It's the first best-of-5 that we had so far. All of the games here, the Gfinity Spring Masters, were best-of-3. Yeah, PartinG here, not really getting that first victory. I've been talking actually to the Muslim a bit about this as well. Do you think that a player from this caliber is affected by this, losing the first game, or do you think they just like, can really completely ignore game number one and say, like, let's focus on the second one, and it doesn't really matter?
Obviously, everyone's different, but I feel like game one of a best-of-5 series, or any series, in fact, is always very, very important. It really does kind of make you feel a bit more comfortable. It allows you to relax a little bit more. The fact that the builds were kind of a bit unorthodox, maybe. They were the same builds, and it's kind of, I don't know how he's going to feel after losing that, because you can't really feel too bad about losing in that situation. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, we did the same builds. He just played a bit more risky and he got the advantage and ended up winning. So maybe PartinG will go into the next few maps playing not as safe and not as risky.
Yeah, we have the maps actually right here. Expedition, Lost, Nova Growth are going to be the next two maps here. So we have a lot of maps, like Deadwing, of course, the biggest map that we had so far, and 4-player map as well. So going in 2-player maps later on, that's going to change, of course, also how the players are going to approach it here. Yeah,
Expedition Lost is kind of a cool map for PvP. It's not as easy to scout the main as it is on other maps, because in PvP you usually want to scout the main with either Hallucinated Phoenix with a sentry early on, or your Mothership Core, which is kind of common. But the fact that Expedition Lost, like, kind of the edges of the base there's not much airspace behind that. Yep. Well, I don't think there's any at all, really, in fact. So it's easy to deny that, and you can just kind of hide a tech building at the back of your base, such as a Twilight Council or a Stargate. And yeah, it's kind of a bit hard to read your opponent and see what they're doing. So safer builds are usually more common on this map, but as we saw from last game, you never really know what's going to happen in PvP. So,
I mean, so far Rain got the upper hand here, and that was actually the first map that PartinG lost in the tournament. We've been talking about this actually a lot, and especially in the semifinal, also in the quarterfinals. It was really impressive how he was able to just like take those two maps quite easily. Now we're going into map number 2 of our semifinal here, and all the way down to the bottom left we have our Protoss player in red losing the first one today. It is PartinG. And up to the top right, here on Expedition Lost with a 1-0 lead in the best-of-5 series at the semifinal of the Gfinity Spring Master. We have Rain. So once again, with the scouting information that you already mentioned, a bit more difficult. You can hide some tech here. When we talk about tech and strategies on this map, what would you say is the preferred tech route to go?
The natural's kind of easiest to secure than other maps, and the fact that Blink's usually kind of common on in PvP, in fact. On this map, it's not as common, because obviously there is back rocks to kind of gain another entry into the main base. You can't really blink up through that. There's like a tiny little gap that you can, but the fact that you're going to have to go all the way around to the natural, to the front, and it's just too long for it to be kind of optimal as it is kind of on other maps. So usually I see a lot of Stargate play in this map, and a lot of fast expansion play. So the fact that, who's that, Rain? Going for a super early double gas, I feel like a Stargate play is going to be kind of inevitable.
Yeah. PartinG, on the other hand, with the pylon on the low ground, so far no real scouting happening. But we already saw that PartinG immediately sent out one of his probes and was trying to scout out if there's maybe some kind of like early proxy happening here. How likely do you think this is going to be, that we have a very aggressive proxy strategy throughout the best-of-5 series?
I don't feel like PartinG will actually proxy on this map, even though that pylon is outside of his main base. That can kind of mean two things. It's obviously to scout to see if there is proxy gateways or whatnot, and also to kind of trick your opponent. Obviously, he can hide a Twilight Council down there. It's not going to be a Stargate for sure, maybe a Twilight Council, but the main thing is just to kind of trick his opponent. Rain's going to come in a second, and he's going to only scout one pylon, and that's going to obviously mean, well, there's another pylon out on the map. He's obviously proxying something, so that can obviously trigger a few different reactions from Rain. Hopefully, it's an overreaction, and then PartinG with the delayed second gas, I think, only slightly, but that kind of, I guess that kind of leads towards an expansion play. You never really know too much. You can't tell too much from that, but yeah, it could be an expansion play, and if Rain kind of overcompensates for a proxy Stargate or something like that, then PartinG could see himself in a good position. So
which brings us back to the fact that we've been talking about earlier, that both of these players actually know each other very, very well, and therefore you always try to have the mind games going on between them. It's actually quite interesting to see that if you have former teammates, actually teammates play against each other, sometimes a lot of the decisions at first don't really make a lot of sense, but if you know exactly the style of your opponent, try to trick them like we see our PartinG try right now. And we have him actually going into a Twilight Council.
Yeah, really actually impressive by Rain there. Not many players would do that, but he actually went around the natural of PartinG and actually ended up scouting that proxy pylon. So he knows that it's not a Stargate or anything like that on the map. And I'm not sure if it was a reaction from PartinG to put down the Twilight, but he did anyway. So obviously that's going to lead towards probably a Blink tech. It could be this kind of older build, which Protoss used to do quite often. It was kind of like a fast DT into expansion into Robo, which was really, really safe, and it's kind of good on this map because it's hard to kind of punish that. But yeah, it's Blink as we can see, and it looks like PartinG will probably be aggressive with it.
Yeah, you were saying already that Blink is something that you don't see all that often here on the map, also because of the access to the base, and that Stargate play is a bit more common. PartinG, a player that we've seen actually uses micro incredibly well throughout the entire tournament. Do you think that's one of the reasons why he goes into Blink, that he says that his mechanics and it's just micro in general is so good that he will get the most out of it?
You know what it is on this map? I might be reading into it a little bit too much here, but the fact that the PartinG did place that pylon in his natural, he kind of wanted to trick Rain into thinking that he might be going for a proxy Stargate or something. So I might be wrong here, but I might be right as well, and I'll look like a genius if I'm right. But he might have been hoping for Rain to go for a Stargate and go for Phoenix to counter. Yeah. To counter the proxy Oracle. So for PartinG to be one step ahead of that himself, he would go for a Blink and then kind of be ahead in that regard. So at the same time, obviously he can put on a little bit of pressure. It's kind of difficult on this map, but the fact that Rain's going for a kind of fast expansion, I feel like PartinG could definitely do some damage here.
PartinG already moving in and getting the first Stalker kill, but two of them are being trapped, and he doesn't have Blink just yet. Stalker number one is down, and Rain repaying him in kind, taking down two of the Stalkers. Really nice micro on the second one, with 3 health points, just barely escaping there. PartinG trying to apply some pressure with that forward pylon. We have that expansion faster now for Rain, and PartinG actually threw down also a Stargate behind all of this.
Yeah, this was kind of drifting out of fashion a little bit because it was so common that pretty much every Protoss was doing it. There's going Blink, and then if they saw an expansion, they wouldn't go for the all-in, which was kind of common what most players would do. They'd actually go for a expansion themselves, but go with an Oracle to follow up and try and do a bit of economic damage and get back into it that way. But it seems like Rain's going to scout this anyway with a hallucinated Phoenix.
We've been talking about that Protoss players and this man oftentimes also tend to play a bit more passive and a bit more safe, and that's exactly what we see Rain do here. He has already the first Immortals in the game. He's like staying behind, making sure that nothing that PartinG throws his way can really do a whole lot of damage. Now PartinG moving in with that Oracle. Do you think that in a situation like this, Rain is going to expect that and will have a few units ready?
Yeah, it's kind of common. Obviously, he's just scouted that as well. And I guess the good thing for PartinG is that Rain only just found out that he was going for an Oracle, and he's only just found out about the expansion as well. So Rain's only just started pro production again. So PartinG's actually managed to take a slight lead, only by 3 right now, but obviously that can increase a little bit as the time goes on. But he's managed to secure that, even though Rain's expansion was a lot faster than his.
You were definitely right on the money when you were saying earlier that we were going to probably see PartinG being the aggressor in the game and Rain trying to play the more defensive position, because that's exactly what's happening here. But kill on the Oracle. How much does that really affect you right now? Of course, you would like to have the Oracle alive to pose that constant threat to your opponent, but how is that really going to affect the game at this point? Yeah,
I mean, obviously, the constant threat is always really, really nice, especially on Oracle, because if it goes unnoticed for about 5 or 10 seconds, your whole worker line's dead, pretty much. So, yeah, it's kind of a big deal that he's managed to pick that off. Again, on this map, like I was kind of saying before, it's a bit hard to scout and kind of maneuver around the base because of the lack of airspace around the base. So it's kind of hard to use an Oracle as well because you need that airspace and you need to be able to use that to your advantage. So the Oracle isn't that great on this map. I like the follow-up from PartinG because obviously it could have done a lot of damage, but the fact that it didn't do any damage really, it killed maybe 2 or 3 workers and Rain actually killed it, that's pretty decent for Rain.
Yeah, Rain leading therefore also in the Harvester count. So PartinG actually does that since he killed those 3 additional probes. A Harvester lead with just barely 4 or 3 additional Harvesters, how important is that in a PvP?
It's not too important really. I mean, In PvP, you're going to stay on 2 base for a long, long time, really, longer than most other matchups. As you can see, it's 11 minutes already and no 3rd base. But, oh, 2nd Oracle as well, that's kind of a big investment in my opinion after the first one didn't do too much damage. But as I said, the worker difference isn't going to play too much of a difference. You can't really punish a Protoss on 2 base, especially with sentries, and photon overcharge is kind of really difficult. So as we can see now, PartinG's actually going for a fast 3rd, which is, I guess, a good move, but the fact that he's going for a Colossus tech and he's behind in Colossus tech, as we can see, Rain's already producing his, well, nearly finishing his first. There might be an opportunity for Rain to punish this if he scouts it.
So PartinG playing this a bit greedy. Do you think he has to do that, considering that he lost the Oracle? He didn't really do a lot of damage just yet. He started to fall a bit behind there. The greedy play that we see from him there, did he have to do that, or did he have another choice?
I guess he didn't have to do it, but he definitely needed to do something. I mean, he did make 2 Oracles, which is 300 gas, and 300 gas is actually quite a big amount in PvP. And as we can see, Rain's actually adding on 6 gates, and if he scouts it like he has, it wouldn't surprise me if he actually tries to punish that.
Yeah, so once again, 3 additional probes going down. So with the 2nd Oracle as well, PartinG is able to take down a few of the Harvesters, but with Rain having all the scouting information, really constantly scouting with the hallucinated Phoenixes, as does PartinG. He knows about the 3rd base, he knows about the tech, he's adding those gateways already. We see the chrono boost also on the extended thermal lens. So Rain really starting to gear up here. But considering that he's currently on 2 bases and really going for the tech, if PartinG holds here, does Rain have a chance to come back?
Probably not. I mean, if he does hold, he's going to be in a very good position. I don't think he's ever going to be able to hold this 3rd if Rain does choose to be aggressive. But the fact that PartinG's already getting his +2 attack, which is actually a big deal. He's actually ahead of Rain. If he does manage to hold, then obviously he'll be in a very good position going towards the later stages of the game.
Yeah, at this point, the 3rd, at least for a few seconds, denied since the Oracle was still hovering over here. So, moves that in, tries to take another one down, and he delays that 3rd base of Rain for a long, long time with that, taking down another probe already. So really buying himself a lot of time to capitalize on the faster 3rd base that he has. And Rain, with the army supply currently at 50, didn't really start any kind of big gathering just yet with his army to move cross-map.
Yeah, I feel like Rain is kind of playing the safer route. He's not playing as much of an all-in route, but he's definitely still going to be aggressive. He did actually add on the Warp Prism, so what I think he's going to do is go for the Warp Prism in the main to kind of try and draw PartinG out of position, maybe force a Photon Overcharge, so obviously 1 less time warp or whatever in the main battle that will eventually come. So hopefully it works out for Rain, because if not, he's going to be in a pretty dire position.
Rain finally with the 3rd base started, but PartinG is of course already mining. On the other hand, the Protoss player in red lost a few of the Stalkers that Rain was able to easily pick up on the map, since PartinG apparently was focused with his attention elsewhere. Now we have the blue Protoss player moving cross-map after all. Rain currently with 3 Colossi in this mix. He has the +1 attack upgrade, and PartinG already completed the faster +2, going into that battle with nearly even army supply. And Rain really starting to apply the pressure here. Photon overcharge already used. And here comes that Oracle, that Warp Prism that we've been talking about. In the main base, there is a cannon ready. The Warp In is there. And the Warp Prism goes down. Well done, actually, with the defense here. And, of course, a round of Warp Ins from PartinG as well. But he needs to be careful, since his 3rd is still being attacked. The Time Warp already dropped down. Colossi in the back of PartinG, doing quite a lot of damage in the army supply. Rain is falling apart here just a bit. If he doesn't do damage here, he's going to be in a bit of a tough spot. Moving back already. 3 Colossi against 3 being chased away. And at this point, who would you give the advantage here? I mean, that attack didn't really do as much damage as Rain was hoping for, and he lost the Warp Prism in the main base as well. Still not mining from that 3rd.
PartinG's good, man. He's good. That was perfect. Like, he couldn't have done that any better. The Warp Prism in the main, that was the main kind of, I guess,
yeah, there's actually
yeah, the Warp Prism in the main was kind of the main distraction. Obviously, he wasn't really hoping to kill the 3rd, because he knew that PartinG's army was in position. But the fact that PartinG actually target fired the Warp Prism with the 2 cannons that he already had and took that down straight away, the threat was immediately gone. He defended it really, really well. And obviously, as we can see now, he's actually killing Rain's 3rd. So that's
Yeah.
And he couldn't have asked for anything better, really.
That's one of the things that I actually really love about PartinG's style, that he's not afraid to just throw a cannon down in his main base in the mineral line. He was one of the Protoss players that was kind of first to really do that, because a lot of them still play a bit greedy in that regard and don't want to invest into that. The fight over here, on the other hand, once again going in PartinG's favor already. The Colossi of Rain getting very, very low. PartinG in a great position right now. The GG drop as PartinG takes game number 2, equalizes, it ties it up, and brings us therefore in the 3rd game.
I'm a happy man.
Happy man?
I'm a happy man. That was very, very, very well played, in fact.
Talking a bit about Rain, I mean, you've been saying that with everything that happened, with PartinG investing into the 2nd Oracle, there was a bit of a window of opportunity for Rain here that he didn't use because he wanted to play it rather safe. Do you think he should have attacked that 3rd base sooner? Yeah.
He was way too indecisive. He already had the 6 gates on the way, so it kind of looks like he was going to be aggressive. He could have added 2 more on, but he didn't. He chose to start pro production a little bit and then stop again and then go for a 3rd, and then obviously the Oracle denied it, and then he started pro production again and tried to take the 3rd again. And it was just all a bit indecisive for Rain. That's why I feel like PartinG was able to defend that. I feel like if he was more decisive and he just went for it straight out, maybe added even 4 gates on instead of the 2 that I said previously, he probably would have been able to break him, in my opinion. Obviously, PartinG's +2 would have played a big role, because plus attack in Colossus Wars is actually a really, really big deal. So it's hard to say. It's just, obviously, it just depends on how well the battle would have been microed and whatnot. But I feel like if he was a bit more decisive and had a bit more of a killer instinct, he probably would have been able to definitely kill the 3rd. Maybe not end the game, but definitely kill the 3rd.
What about the Warp Prism? Rain sent that into the main base, and as we've been talking about, there were 2 cannons. They immediately started focusing the Warp Prism, made sure that the Warp in didn't get through. If he moves into the main base and sees those cannons, should he just like place that Warp Prism somewhere else and maybe not directly in the mineral line and try to force something else?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tricky on that map. I mean, if he doesn't go to the main, where does he go? He goes to the natural. Where's PartinG's army? Kind of in between his 3rd and natural, so it would have been a lot easier for PartinG to defend, I guess.
But I guess even if you like just warps in somewhere else in the main base and not directly in the mineral line where the cannons are protecting everything, then he still has that threat with the Zealots there. The Warp Prism is a constant threat. He has to somehow deal with it.
Yeah, I think obviously with the way that Rain was trying to do it, he was obviously taking the safer route and taking the 3rd himself. So his main goal there was trying to cripple PartinG's eco and kill as much probes as possible, basically. So the fact that he couldn't do that, and obviously if he warped in outside of the mineral line, outside of the cannon range, he kind of just would have killed gateways, and that's not really good enough. You want to do more economic damage, and yeah, obviously he wasn't able to do that.
Rain trying his best in game number 2, PartinG taking it though, and now we have our Protoss player in red up to the top right on map number 3 in the best of 5 series here, the Gfinity Spring Masters here on Overgrowth. It is PartinG. PartinG taking game number 2 after falling behind on the first map on Deadwing to his Protoss opponent down to the bottom left of the map now. We have in blue, Rain. And so far, actually, like a pretty interesting series between the 2 of them. Map number 1, both of them going for aggression. Rain a bit more aggressive than PartinG, goes for the gateway follow-up after his initial Oracle was doing some damage and getting the upper hand here. So he takes the first win in the series. PartinG bouncing back on the 2nd map now, tying the series up in a pretty nice game that we saw between the 2 of them. A lot of mind games going on, especially from PartinG at the beginning with that pylon that he was trying to hide. Rain finding that pylon early on and maybe making a bit of a too hesitant move then later on, not going for that 3rd base. Now on map number 3, Overgrowth, how do you think this map plays out for PvP?
It's kind of similar to Deadwing, strangely enough, because obviously Deadwing's a huge map and Overgrowth's not as big at all. But it kind of plays out the same in regards to the builds and the mind games, because on this map, fast expansion play is really common, and it's always about thinking, hey, what's my opponent going to do? Is he going to do that? And blah, blah, blah. You know, mind games come into it a lot. So you can't really say on this map. I can say that Blink isn't that common at all. You very rarely see Blink. It's usually just a fast expansion play or a Stargate play. But as we know, you can never really tell.
Yeah, we have one probe already moving out of PartinG towards the right side. Oh, sorry, of Rain, moving out to the right side of the map. And we have one in-base pylon for PartinG, hidden just a tiny bit, not by too much. Who do you think is, like, considering the scouting route and everything, Rain apparently is afraid that there might be some kind of proxy towards the right side. Considering the best of 5 series in general, not this map in particular, who do you think is more likely to really just go for a proxy early on in the series at some point?
I think there's no denying that PartinG will probably do that, big boy PartinG. But obviously Rain can do it as well, and that's obviously what we didn't really expect from him in Game 1, the proxy Stargate. So anyone can do it, and I feel like it's a great tool to use. Obviously it is very, very all-in, so I wouldn't like to see anyone do it, but it can always happen in PvP. With PartinG though, with the pylon placement that he's going for right now, it looks like he's it's not for anything in particular, it's just kind of for like later game purposes, seeing oracles come in or mothership core scouting, which could happen. Not as common anymore, but Rain is actually going for that it seems like. I'm not sure if he'll actually commit to that.
Yeah, so we have a Twilight Counselor coming down for Rain, and at the same time PartinG instead heading straight into that Stargate tech. So Rain going for the blink after all?
Yeah, I guess it's one of those mind games. Hey, is PartinG going to do it? If so, I'm going to go for blink. I'm going to try and get a little advantage, not a huge advantage, but a little advantage, and then kind of go from there. The options that kind of PartinG can do is take an expansion like he is, and this build, I love this build. I hate playing against it. I love doing it. I hate playing against it. It's the worst build to play against because it's so hard to punish, and I really like the choice.
Why is that? Why is it so hard to punish?
I feel like the fact that an Oracle is out on the map, it's going to be in Rain's base pretty soon, and it will probably force a Photon Overcharge, and PartinG's whole build kind of relies on him not losing that Oracle. If he loses that Oracle, it's pretty much game, but if he keeps that Oracle alive and he forces a Photon Overcharge, then he's always got the threat of the Oracle. So Rain's going to have to kind of keep some Stalkers at home. So what does that mean? He can't be as aggressive as he would like to be, although he kind of was in the Deadwind game, but on this map, if he's got Stalkers at home, he's not going to be able to punish the fast expansion of PartinG. So it's kind of, yeah, it kind of puts Rain in a tricky situation. You don't really know what I don't know what to do because, like I said, I hate playing this build. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see what Rain does. He's actually being very, very aggressive. Yeah. The Oracle's not even at Rain's base yet, so this kind of is looking good for Rain. That is. It just depends when he forces PartinG's Photon Overcharge.
Oh, nice force field trap here against the Stalkers, and so far they do not have blink, so one of them already going down. The Photon Overcharge also forced the natural. He's going to kill, he's killing 3 of them. 3 Stalkers already, nearly killed a 4th there even.
Yeah, and that is obviously not good at all. And now the Oracle coming in from PartinG, and although he might lose it, actually he's going to keep that alive. But the fact that it's still there is obviously very, very important because those 3 Stalkers that were already in the mineral line for Rain, he's got to keep them there just because of that threat. And now he can't be as aggressive as he'd like to be. And as we can see from Rain, he's actually going for that Stargate that kind of PartinG did in the previous game, that follow-up Stargate. So it wouldn't surprise me if he throws down as an expansion as well.
Yeah, another kill, gets a few harvesters out there and totally killed 4. He lost the Oracle though. Is it still worth it? Like losing the Oracle, you said earlier, of course it's really important, but at the same time now he killed 3 Stalkers already, took down a few harvesters. Yeah,
that kind of nullifies it, I feel. And I don't know if PartinG scouted this yet, but Rain actually did go for that expansion. Like we mentioned was a possibility earlier. So even though PartinG probably doesn't know it yet, he is actually in a very good position.
What about the proxy Stargate that we see from Rain right now? How important is it to really have that this far out on the map? Because, I mean, eventually you're going to risk losing that, losing the pylon, losing the Stargate there too. Oh, PartinG even going straight down, trying to capture these units and taking the first one of the pylons down.
Yeah, I actually prefer the Stargate in this position as opposed to last game where PartinG kept it at home because obviously it got scouted last game by a hallucinated Phoenix. If a hallucinated Phoenix goes into his base this time, it's not going to get scouted. So the fact that it's proxied is really, really good, and it will probably catch PartinG off guard.
Yeah, another Stalker lost by Rain already. In this game is Micro, at least PartinG, really making a great effort here to take down as many of the Stalkers as he possibly can. The Oracle moving in now, and this completely blindsiding the Red Ploros player, taking down quite a lot of Harvesters already. 5 in total, gets another one, and PartinG decides to just move cross-map in the main base. He's currently defending with the Photon Overcharge. Might get that Oracle here, but that's a lot of probe kills in favor of Rain.
I don't feel like Rain should have sacrificed it there. He didn't have much energy left, and he only got an extra probe kill. Obviously, he has got the second one that's just finished up, so that can do a bit more damage, but PartinG's just going for it, man. He knows that he's took too much damage, and he's just going to try and kill his opponent outright.
Yeah, 33 army supply against 25, but of course those extra immortals are very important right now. It's all about the force fields, of course, preventing that, but the natural, I mean, he cannot say that for sure. At the same time, a few Stalkers still back at home to defend against the Oracle. Not too many kills this time, 4 probe kills already, 23 harvesters against 29. Hallucinated Colossus moving into it as well. Also high ground vision, of course, granted, and the rest of PartinG's army moving straight into the main base. It's going to be a pretty tough battle. Do you think that Rain can hold this?
I think he can hold for sure. If he pulls his probes, that is, because he's got a lot of probes. He's got 22, in fact. I think he can hold, but he's actually in a really tricky position.
PartinG trying to take down those pylons and powering the gateways. Gets the pylon down here, or at least he could if he just takes another hit in there. 1 pylon, 2 pylons actually extremely low, but there's the probe pull, and immediately the first force fields being set down here. A lot of damage already done thanks to the Stalker. The blink forward by Rain, trying to snipe that Immortal. Gets 1, is trying to take down the second one, but losing a lot of Stalkers in the process. Currently 8 against 9 Stalkers in this situation. PartinG doing as much damage as he can, losing his sentries in the process. Moving in once again, the Photon Overcharge still doing damage. 2 more Stalkers about to die for Rain, but PartinG is losing everything in this situation right now. Rain down to 23 supply overall though, and he only has 7 workers left against 25.
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was going to lose workers, but I didn't realize he was going to lose that many. And that many is kind of a bit too many.
Especially with the second base of PartinG still being up here.
Yeah, I mean, PartinG couldn't have really asked for anything better. I really wasn't expecting him to do that much damage there. I was expecting him to kill the expansion and kind of back off, but he saw an opportunity and he went for it, and obviously he's in a really good position now.
Yeah, we have Rain with a bit of counter-aggression up to the top, trying to at least take the Harvesters at the natural down. Doesn't get that chance with the units of PartinG already being in position, but of course the economy of Rain is just in a horrible spot right now. Time is working in PartinG's favor. He has the much better Harvester count, doesn't even have to produce any Harvesters right now, can stick it out with the 25 that he's currently owning. He has 2 Immortals as well. Do you think there's any chance that Rain can bounce back into this?
No chance at all.
Yeah, he's trying, he's jumping in, has the high ground vision, snipes one of the Immortals actually, but that doesn't really look likely. We have, yeah, Stalkers going down, Rain typing, GG, tapping out right now, and PartinG after losing map number 1, taking the 2-1 lead in the series. Yeah. And that leaves us with a very happy Blaine.
I'm a happy man, yeah, I am. Yeah, that kind of last attack was just a little last-ditch attempt from Rain there. He even actually had to warp in a Zealot, which he didn't want to do because he just couldn't afford to warp in a Stalker, which kind of shows how broke he was. It was actually really well played by oh, not looking too happy there.
Not at all. I mean, just thinking about from his point of perspective, he wins map 1. I don't want to say like it was I mean, both of them were trying to be aggressive, and it wasn't really like a super cheesy game or anything, but it was like one of those wins where you get the upper hand with the build, you decide to be more aggressive than your opponent, and you get an easy win there. He was pretty happy about that, we could see that, but now the next 2 games, that was where more of the really like decision making and skill came into play, and PartinG just like took him apart in both of them, didn't he? Yeah,
game 2 was obviously very well played by PartinG, and game 3, although PartinG did have a build order advantage in my opinion, I feel like Rain kind of did pull it back a little bit, but yeah, like you said, PartinG's decision making was actually really good, and obviously ended up in him winning that game.
Yeah. So we have a 2-1 lead in the best of 5 series here, and well, after those games, we have a quick break since also one of the players went to a bathroom break. So guys, we're going to be back after just a few minutes with the 4th game, potentially actually the last game in our semi-final here, if Rain can't take this and bring us into a 5th one.
Wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, of course it wouldn't. So guys, we'll be back in just a few with the next match between PartinG and Rain.
You do.
Yeah, PartinG with the ball, so I just hope you guys have to go. Good job. All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to go into our fourth game between PartinG and Rain. PartinG taking the 2-1 lead after losing the first map. And so far, I mean, Rain did really not look happy after the last game. You could see that he's a bit concerned about how he's going to take down PartinG now. Yeah, I mean, one more game and he's out, which anyone can't really be too happy about. And I feel like the fact that he might feel a little bit lost right now, obviously I'm going to big up PartinG as much as I possibly can all the time, always. But the fact that he actually did get pretty outplayed in the past 2 games, he can't really be feeling too good about that. Do you think it's time for Rain to really just like try and bring out the cheese hammer? I don't know. I guess maybe it works. It's pretty tricky, you know. Like if you lose 2 games like this, do you really feel confident going into another game where you really have to pull out the stops and go up against a macro and micro heavy opponent like that? Yeah, I guess maybe. Like obviously, game 1 worked out really, really well, and then obviously Catalina, this map, it's kind of common for that strategy to happen. Blink play is very, very common on this map, and the fact that Rain's kind of been doing that the past few games. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Well, right now we have the 4th map loading up here, all the way up to the top of the map. We have in red our Protoss player with the lead in this series, a 2-1 in the best of 5. It is PartinG. And to the left side of the map, we have his opponent, down 1 game in the series. Now he won the initial map, but lost 2 in a row. It is Rain. Well, this is Catalina now, so we have our first 3-player map here. How does that affect things? Well, the map's not actually too big, so it doesn't really matter too much. If they do scout after Gateway, which is kind of common, they haven't been doing it in the past series. They've been scouting a little bit later, but you still should be able to get a probe in the main base regardless of if you scout your opponent first or not. It doesn't really matter too much. The strategies on this map is usually kind of blink play. Your main base is very, very vulnerable to blink attacks with a mothership core, I guess. So I don't feel like this game would be too random. I feel like the better player should definitely probably win. But obviously, as we've said again, we can never tell in PvP. Well, I was actually waiting for you to make a PartinG comment there when you were talking about the better player, because let's face it, so far he's been playing absolutely incredible, not only in this series, but throughout the entire tournament. His micro and everything is just absolutely on top. In the last game in particular, I could really see that Rain, who was trying to go for the aggression with the blink play that he used, did struggle a lot. PartinG just easily took down 3 of the Stalkers right at the beginning of the game, and I mean, that's such a huge blow to your army, and especially thanks to the strategy that Rain was playing there. If PartinG can pull something like that off again, I feel Rain is going to be in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, for sure. As we can see, Rain's actually scouting the right position, but he's scouting a little bit later, so his economy will be slightly better. It's not too much of a difference, but on this map especially, the minerals are kind of a bit, they're not as optimal as they are on other maps, and you can't saturate your gases as fast as you'd usually like to, because you won't have enough minerals to get the cybernetics core down straight away, so it's kind of like a bit of a balance. So the fact that Rain's scouting a little bit later gives him the tiniest advantage going into the early stages of this game.
How important is an advantage like that, actually?
Sorry?
How important is an advantage like that, actually? I mean, we talk about that quite a lot, and you have like maybe a bit of an edge over your opponent, but does it really come into play? Does it really give you any kind of real advantage, or is it just like one of those things where you say like, okay, I'm maybe behind a bit?
It's just one of those things, but as we know in Starcraft, all these kind of minute and little advantages can add up. And yeah, I guess it can kind of do that. As we can see, Rain's Stargate, they're both going for them. Rain's is actually slightly ahead, which is obviously the result of scouting a little bit later.
I would love if they would make it like weird. I always thought that for Overlords it would be great if they could bump into each other and just like push each other away. If they would do that with the Mothership core, that would be pretty funny too, at least in this situation.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Could make a bit of a like a arcade game out of that, I guess.
And who's actually... Yeah, so Rain's actually going back, which in this situation will actually be good for him, because the fact that they're both going for oracles, Rain's actually going to have that photon overcharge straight away if he actually needs to use it. And PartinG's Mothership core is actually out on the map, and he's actually going to commit. So he's actually going to use his energy to recall, and he's not going to have one for a photon overcharge. So the fact that he's doing that actually forces him to be a lot more defensive than Rain has to be going into the next stages of this game. So what does that mean? Rain can either expand or go for an aggressive build himself, because he knows that PartinG's not going to have a photon overcharge.
Kills one probe with this, at least. A bit of a killer Mothership core there. And got, of course, the scouting information. At this point, we're having Rain. Oh, Rain actually didn't see what was going on there. Apparently, he didn't really get a good look on what's going on at the top. We have also Phoenix against Oracle right now. That Oracle not doing anything, well, killing one Harvester.
Yeah,
and Dark Shrine for Rain as a follow-up.
Did PartinG cancel his Oracle? I guess. I didn't see that. I was having a few sound issues. But the fact that he's managed to pick off that Oracle is obviously very, very good. And the fact that he's got Phoenix out on the map is obviously very, very good as well, because not only can he scout his opponent, but he can actually do a little bit of harass. And also he can... Well, he actually forces Rain to keep some kind of defense in his mineral line. And yeah, it's just overall a good feeling to have Phoenix out on the map as a Protoss player.
With PartinG moving into the main base of Rain now and like having the Phoenixes there, when should you realize that there must be something proxied somewhere, that something is missing? Is he going to be able to realize that at all?
No, I don't think so at all. The fact that he's getting a robo is obviously very, very nice. He's playing safe, like he did in Game 1, but it's actually going to pay off this time because the DTs will be coming pretty soon, I imagine. But he's actually going to go for the Immortal first, so it could actually backfire quite a bit. DTs in your mineral line are kind of like oracles. If they go unnoticed or untouched for 5-10 seconds, they can kill the whole worker line. So only one DT getting warped in right now. But the fact that a blink follow-up is coming as well, if he does enough damage, there might be an opportunity for Rain to actually push the issue a little bit and actually attack with a big blink stalker attack.
Well, there's a block already. Ooh, he's going to lose one of the Stalkers. The second one is already like scared shitless, trying to get away there. At the same time, the photon overcharge to the bottom left, denying for now at least those. That is not a happy Templar.
No, that's actually really well played by PartinG though. The fact that he was actually going for the Immortal first and skipping the Observer straight away was obviously a little bit, I guess I was a little bit scared for him, but the fact that he had a sentry at the top of the ramp and is actually walling off with his Stalkers was actually really smart play by PartinG there, because if a DT did come like it did, he was going to know about it because it was going to attack the Stalker, and if a Blink Stalker follow-up attack was coming, like he scouted originally, he would have Immortals to defend it. So it was kind of really intelligent play from PartinG there.
Yeah, the Phoenix is still trying to arrest here, but we have at the other side of the map, of course, once again, the Stalk's in position, starting to use that Blink, going straight into the main base now. PartinG needs to defend against this, obviously, and we're having him with a Mothership core there for Photon overcharge. The rest of the army, on the other hand, is down to the bottom, and we have him taking down not only Immortal, but also empowering the Stargate, taking down the Mothership core as well. And Another Immortal all the way at the front, and suddenly those Blink Stalkers super aggressive, blinking in, taking down another Immortal, and sniping everything that PartinG has there.
Oh, well, that was obviously not very good for PartinG at all. They're losing way too much. And Rain is actually taking a significant advantage in this game. 6 workers ahead, actually might even be able to kill this expansion.
Yeah, and he's, especially with that DT that he still has, there's not a whole lot of PartinG in regards to Army. He's at 46 overall supply against 64, losing even more workers. Worker count 39 versus 31. He's trying to utilize that last Immortal that he has, but immediately that aggressive Blink taking down the Immortal, taking down all of the Stalkers, and just like that, Rain forcing out a 5th game between the two of them. Yeah,
that was actually really well done by Rain. I kind of felt like he had to step it up after those last 2 previous games, and he definitely did that. He saw an opportunity and he went for it, and he really, executed his build perfectly. Although the DTs didn't do damage at all, really, they forced out a few force fields and killed a sentry, a Stalker, which really isn't good enough. The fact that he was able to kind of get in such a good position on top of, in PartinG's main ramp, on top of that ramp, and kind of force, well, actually, he got a little bit lucky with the Immortal popping out at the same time. Yeah, I guess a little bit lucky there. But I feel like PartinG maybe got a little bit too greedy. He actually had the Phoenix scouting around on the map, so he kind of should have been using that to his advantage a little bit, and he kind of should have prepared a little bit better for what was coming. I mean, he should have been in position more, and as we saw, he made a forge, and that's kind of being... You know, I guess he felt like after he defended the DT attack, he was in a good position. Then Rain was going to take the back foot, which obviously wasn't the case. But I feel like if PartinG just scouted a little bit better with his Phoenix, he wouldn't have seen any army at Rain's base, his natural or in his main, really. And then he kind of could have been able to prepare for it, like I said.
Yeah, even with the defense, when he used that force field on the ramp, he trapped a lot of his own units. And the Immortal dying, of course, was then the last straw. The base, or the expansion at least, is being attacked, dies down, and Rain now with another victory. And both of them actually looking really anxious there, going into that 5th game. And I mean, this is, of course, the last map that we're going to see between the two of them. It's going to be a pretty exciting one. We're going to jump in the game, of course, as soon as it's ready. And this should be a pretty sick game.
I'm nervous, man. I was nervous before I sat down here for different reasons, but now I'm nervous for my boy. Yeah, 2-2, it's PvP and anything can happen. So I feel like both players have kind of stepped it up now, that obviously Rain especially. So yeah, I feel like this last game is going to be a very good game. I
feel at the beginning things were going very well for PartinG there. You had the Phoenix against the Oracle, got the kill there, saw the DT coming, and yeah, PartinG once again, I mean, he played really well, but at the same time, Rain just not giving up there, and this time getting the better of his opponent. Of course, you were talking also about the Immortal popping out at exactly the time the Stalkers entered the main base. They gave him a bit of an upper hand there. But just like that, we are suddenly in a 5th game between the two of them. Down to the bottom left, it is in red. Our Protoss player just lost the last one. It is PartinG. We are on Inferno pools this time, and all the way up to the top left. He looked pretty nervous after the 3rd game, but now calm and concentrated going into game number 5. It is Rain. Inferno Pools is a map that I think we did not see as a tournament at all just yet. At least I haven't casted a single game on this particular map. For Protoss versus Protoss, especially with the positions that we have here.
Yeah, these positions, I don't feel like positions will play too much of a factor in this map particularly. But the fact that we haven't seen it before is obviously pretty cool because obviously we want a bit of diversity. But I feel like the reason that we're seeing this map is because they actually vetoed Varney Research Station, which is a map that we've been seeing the whole tournament. But I feel like the reason they vetoed that is because you've got an in-base natural, and that's just gonna... It basically makes PvP very difficult to read your opponent, and there's a few difficult builds to go around. So the fact that they've chosen this map instead, I actually really like it. I feel like it will be a lot more stable if you can call PvP that. But yeah, it definitely makes sense to me that they've chosen this map. But yeah, the positions, I don't feel like they really matter too much. The fact that PartinG's actually going for a scout, pretty fast scout in fact, and scouting his opponent first is actually quite a big deal, because the fact that his cybernetics core is only just going down, that means he can actually decide what tech he wants to do. And Rain's obviously scouting the other way, so actually he's going to change direction because PartinG just gave it away. Silly, silly boy. But the fact that PartinG's scouting him already, he can actually decide a tech, I guess, to kind of help him out in these positions, if you can call it that. Stargate play would actually be really, really good, in my opinion.
What's the important information that PartinG is looking for now with the prop scout?
Obviously, he's going to scout the cybernetics core timing, which is pretty standard. It's exactly the same for both players. And obviously the gas timings as well, which is exactly the same for both players. Maybe PartinG a little bit far ahead, 8 gas ahead, which is no big deal, really. But yeah, I guess the fact that Rain's scouting as well, it's a completely even game. They won't be able to throw down any tech faster than what they usually would be able to if their opponent wasn't scouting or didn't scout them first or whatever. But as we can see, PartinG actually going for a Twilight Cancel, which I guess is fine, as he knows that Rain scouted him as well, so a Stargate play would kind of be more of a decision to make, I guess, if Rain didn't scout him.
Yeah, both of them trying to utilize the Mother Core now once again to get that information about the main base, and this time they're not gonna play like any kind of catch-up games. They're actually going... we have Rain moving with his own Mothership Core back now. And still not deciding for attack, by the way.
Yeah, wow, okay, yeah, so basically Rain's going for a Sentry, so, and the fact that he's sending his Mothership Core back, yeah, an expansion play is inevitable, and as we can see, he's throwing that down now. So there's kind of 2 follow-ups that PartinG can do. We kind of saw it in on the Overgrowth map, where he can either be aggressive and follow up with the proxy Stargate like Rain did and then go into an expansion himself, or you can just literally go all out and go for an attack and try and kill the Nexus of his opponent. On this map in particular, it's kind of difficult to defend all areas because there's a kind of back entrance to get into your main. So with Blink Stalkers, that could be pretty effective, and then you could kind of run up the front with a Sentry and maybe force field off the ramp and get your opponent out of position that way. But yeah, as we can see, PartinG's throwing down the Stargate, so it wouldn't surprise me if he actually threw down an expansion as well shortly after this.
Yeah, at the same time, we have one forward pylon for Rain now too, but Rain going for that expansion, of course, a lot faster than his opponent. The Stargate is so far not done just yet. With the defense, what's the most important part for Rain right now? I guess like watching out for that Oracle.
I think the main part right now is don't take too much damage on that Nexus and just completely don't lose it, first of all. What he ideally needs to do is delay the Photon Overcharge for as long as possible. He wants to gain as much energy on that, so his second one will be available kind of as soon as the other one dissipates. So yeah, what he's doing now is just kind of baiting shots out, just so they're not on the Nexus, so he can kind of delay the Photon Overcharge like he is. And yeah, he's done that pretty well. Obviously, PartinG's Blink's just finished up, but Rain's first Immortal was out, so he should be fine here.
Force Fist there already. PartinG moving back, not losing that Stalker. And we have the Stargate done by now. Walker count is nearly the same. The expansion is done for Rain, so we're having 2 base against 1 base just now. Oracle now going to start to try and move in towards the main base, where we don't see any kind of defense just yet. But Rain should expect that Stargate somewhere, right?
Yeah, a really cool thing from PartinG here is that he's not actually going for the expansion. But an even cooler thing from Rain is that he scouted that with a Zealot, I believe, in the natural going into the main base of PartinG now, but an Oracle going into the mineral line of Rain and doing a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, 4 Harvesters already killed. We have 1 Zealot starting to chase probes away in the main base of PartinG. So Rain starting to do the damage thanks to the pylon that we mentioned earlier that he threw down at the bottom. Counter warping, of course, from PartinG already happening. And still that Zealot starting to do some damage. 4 kills against 2.
Yeah, and another one coming into the mineral line now, but it should be able to get defended pretty easily. Rain's actually in a really good position. The fact that the Oracle's still alive is obviously very good for PartinG, and it's got quite a lot of kills, as we can see. But the fact that PartinG's Nexus is so far behind, I feel like he needs to do a little bit more damage, because Rain would definitely be able to kind of increase that probe lead again.
Yeah, losing 2 of the Stalkers here definitely doesn't help him. Was trying to go into the main base. He's an opportunity to at least take 1 of the Stalkers down, but he's starting to lose a significant amount of the Stalkers there, and with that, he won't be able to keep that pressure up, will he?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I feel like PartinG's goal was to kind of overwhelm his opponent a little bit. After the Oracle came in, I feel like if Rain didn't actually have that proxy pylon out on the map and didn't have that zealot that scouted no expansion for PartinG and actually got a few kills in the mineral line, Rain would have seen the Oracle and just been like, okay, he's doing the standard blink into Oracle, into expansion. So I feel like Rain probably would have played a bit more greedy, and PartinG's extra units kind of could have took advantage of that. But the fact that Rain actually managed to scout that is actually a really, really big deal in this game.
At this point, we have still both of them at the same supply. We have the expansion now ready for PartinG as well. He's moving in again and trying to put pressure onto that expansion of Rain. He might even be able to snipe that with good micro. He's going straight for it, and even the Immortals coming in. PartinG is going for it, takes it down, moves away, loses 1 or 2 of his Stalkers in the process, but a really great move by him.
Yeah, now the Oracle in the middle line. This is so good play by PartinG.
Taking down 4 additional Harvesters here, running out of energy on the Oracle. But a really nice move by PartinG all of a sudden. Rain looking good at the start of the game. Of course, PartinG by now moving back. He's still up against those 2 Immortals. He's building up a nice army supply there as well. And PartinG with that second base in a great spot. And Rain forced into aggression now.
Yeah, Rain's in a bit of a tricky situation. Obviously, he does have the 2 Immortals. But if PartinG has a Photon Overcharge, which I believe he does. Yeah, he does. So he's got 200 energy. That's actually putting Rain in a very, very difficult position because he's actually all in, I believe. He's not thrown down his expansion himself. And PartinG's actually got 4 sentries on the top of the ramp. So without Blink from Rain, I don't see how he's going to break this.
Yeah, the force field should be able to just like either split the army in half or at least make sure that not the entire army is able to engage against PartinG's base here. And at the same time, with all the additional income that he has, PartinG can just like wait for warp in round after warp in round, increase his army size, and that's going to make it even more difficult for Rain to jump in there. That Oracle, a constant threat towards the main base of Rain as well. Force fields are starting here. One of the sentries already down. Great job by PartinG here, taking that one out, and he's just warping in another round. Army supply is still very much the same. Actually, it is PartinG who loses a few more units here, but he has the resources to warp in another round for his defense. He's also trying to isolate those Immortals, taking one of them out immediately. The Photon Overcharge helping out a lot, of course. Rain still with a bit more army supply, but he's losing way too much here.
Yeah, and the fact that he's got another Photon Overcharge and he's just had Gateways finish up now, I feel like PartinG is in a great position to take this game.
Yeah, on the other hand, now we have the Mothership Core sniped, and Rain is on the ramp, might be able to use a force field there. At the same time, he's moving down into the Photon Overcharge. All of the probes coming off the mineral line. Rain with his back to the wall now, trying to defend somehow, but PartinG is moving in, killing everything here, sacrificing a lot of the harvesters in the process, but it doesn't even matter. PartinG takes it with a 3-2 and advances to the final of the Gfinity Spring Masters.
Well, what can we say? That was actually really well played by PartinG. I was actually a bit worried for him, kind of throughout the whole game, really. Rain was actually in a really, really good position to take that game. He scouted what exactly PartinG was doing. He defended the Oracle pretty well. But yeah, it just seemed like PartinG just kept doing little moves that ended up winning the game for him. So yeah, really, really impressive.
I mean, him sniping the natural, really just the biggest thing here. It immediately triggered an attack from Rain. Rain thinking about, okay, do I throw down in the Nexus again? But he decided that aggression is the only course left to him. And PartinG just defended. He had the energy for the 2 Photon Overcharges. He was able to like force field at the ramp with all the sentries that he had. And time was working in his favor at this point.
Yeah, I don't want to be too critical on Rain because he's a much better player than I am, but I feel like he could have defended it a little bit better. His Immortals were out of position, as we could see, they were in the main. You can obviously argue that he was doing that because obviously PartinG was trying to blink into the main, but in that situation, or I feel like in any situation where you feel like you could potentially get blunked on in the main, I feel like the best decision to make is have your sentries and your stalkers in the main. Maybe not all of your sentries, but at least one for a Guardian Shield. But have the stalkers in the main, just so if they do, well, if PartinG did blink in there, he wouldn't have been able to use Blink again, so it would have been an even fight, even though, well, actually, Rain might have had an advantage because he would have had a Guardian Shield, but then he could have had the Immortals on the front to stop PartinG from picking off that Nexus, and then he could have been in a much, well, I guess, better position. It would have been an even game after that. So just a little mistake, I feel like, in my opinion, but yeah, you can't really argue against Rain because he's a really good player.
It was a really good season. I mean, we saw them going all the distance here, and that was the first 2 maps that PartinG lost in the tournament. So Rain with a very good showing, but at the end of the day, it's still PartinG that advances to the finals. Well, it was a pleasure casting with you. We're going to throw it to the analysis desk to hear what the Muslim has to say about the Protoss versus Protoss. And yeah, thank you very much for casting out with me.
Never again. Yeah.
Thank you, Caldor and Bling. I guess we're just listening to the Muslim on this. Me and Rhett would just be like...
I'm not even here.
We didn't watch that, did we? We were just like, tunnel vision completely. No, nothing. Go on, the Muslims, your show now. No.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good series between them. Like, Rain, he's kind of been slumping a little bit recently. Like, his IM Katowice showing, where he just went 0-3 to Fantasy, was really, really not... It wasn't him. It didn't look like him playing, you know? So the fact that he actually managed to get here to the top 4 and go 2-2 in a series with PartinG, and even the last game was relatively close for a while. Yeah, I'm really happy to see that he is back and he's doing really, really well again. But yeah, PartinG, man, he looks unstoppable right now.
Yeah, that is crazy play from PartinG. I'm just so happy that we got to see the full 5 maps and get to see some really great Starcraft there. Rhett, your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice, quick PvPs. Showed off a lot of technical abilities from PartinG. All his builds were super clean. He was always hitting the force fields right. He was just barely defending when he needed to on Overgrowth, for example, catching the 3 Stalkers on the ramp. And actually, that last game, I thought for a long while, it looked like Rain was really having the upper hand. But then it was such a nice decision to proxy that Stargate and do the Oracle in the main and then the Blink Stalkers in the front. And he just executed everything so well. Like, I think he really deserved to win that one. I thought Rain was going to win it for the longest time in the last one, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was on 2 bases, solid. He had Immortals. But there was just a few times where he got called out. Like, he Photon Overcharged, had his army at the natural as well. Then an Oracle flew in, dealt a little bit of damage, but all that lost mining time. And, like, PartinG kept finding ways to deal damage, too. Like, took a back entrance in the base, killed a couple of killed Stalkers, a couple of probes. So, but, yeah, he played really, really well. One thing that I have to commend Rain for is the fact that he managed to win with a DT build against the robotics facility.
Yeah.
Like, his opponent had the potential to counter DTs and was all ready for it, but somehow Rain found a way. It really felt that when these guys played 1-base Blink builds mixed in with something else, be it Oracle or DTs, there was so much... Well, it just seemed to work every time for these guys. So is that the new trend in PvP? I guess.
Yeah, potentially. And for me, I was just watching in awe of, like, it went right to the wire, but... Like you said, you wouldn't have been able to call it early on. I think, as PartinG said, he's going to go through and hopefully now take the win, but we're going to have to wait and see who's going to be the winner between Rogue and Hydra, which is going to be a very interesting matchup indeed. We will be having PartinG for an interview afterwards, just a little catch-up with him before he gets himself ready for his thoughts on that. But it's finally, we're seeing some good, solid series. We're seeing some longer series here. This is what StarCraft's all about.
It went all the way down to the wire, so that was really nice to see. And I think PvP has come such a long way. It was like everything was being used. Oracles, Phoenix, Blink, DTs, Immortals. Like, it didn't even go once to, like, there was one Colossus game on Expedition Lost, and that's it. And there was just so much fighting going on all the time. It seems like it's come a long way from that matchup that was just 1-base 4-gate like 3 or 4 years ago.
On Tal'Dorei and Malta. And it was all about whether you go offensive 4-gate or defensive 4-gate.
Exactly, it was just Zalos and Starkers running into each other all the time. But no, this was really fun to watch as well. And yeah, really
beauty of StarCraft, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think PartinG, though, he's probably really happy that he gets to fight another Zerg now.
Yeah, yeah. After all that preparation for the many Zergs, ends up with a PvP, finally gets to take on a Zerg for the final. And, well, let's see how confident he's going to be. I believe he's just outside waiting for an interview now, so we're going to take a quick break. Thank you to the Muslim and Rhett once again for their analysis. We'll be right back after this break with PartinG for the winner's interview. Hello everybody, and I am back with a man that needs no introduction right now. It is PartinG. He has been on this chair a couple of times with us after his games, and he is all the way through to a final, and he doesn't know who he's going to play against just yet, but it's going to be a best of 7 finals just to beat Rain in the best of 5 that went right down to the wire. My first question for this man who is looking very pleased with himself right now. Obviously, we've spoken about Rain and being on the same team before. What's his thoughts on Rain's performance at the moment and how he's playing?
이제 레인 선수랑 좀 친분이 있고 옛날부터 팀이었었는데 요즘 레인 선수의 좀 뭐 스킬이나 실력이 좀 어떤 것 같은지 평가를 하자면 어떤 것 같아요?
일단 윤종이 형이 잘하는 선수이면은 그 변함이 없는데 근데 요새 대회 같은 거 많이 지고 있잖아요. 근데 그냥 그 연습량은 충분한 것 같은데 그냥 약간 대회 감각이 좀 많이 떨어져가지고 좀 방송에서 본 실력이 잘 안 나오는 것 같은데 근데 아까 저랑 했을 때는 그래도 약간 좀 아쉬운 부분이 있었지만 그러니까 윤종이 형이 그래도 하면서 느낀 게 좀 아직도 잘하는구나 이런 생각했고 방심 안 하고 했는데도 3대 2가 나왔기 때문에 정말 힘든 싸움이 나온 것 같고 정말 잘하는 것 같아요 아직도.
So I've been knowing him for quite a while, and I think he's a really good player, like still a really good player. I know that his performance on tournaments recently weren't that good, but I know that he's really practicing hard, and in his training games he's actually really, really good. It's just his performance when he's on the offline tournaments.
Okay.
And yeah, also those games just now. I tried my best and I didn't do much mistakes or something like that, but it's still 3-2. It was very close, and I felt like he's a really, really good player.
Well, you gave us some fantastic games, and especially on that last one, we were all talking about it here in the analysis room, that it looked at one point like Rain was quite far ahead, like he might be able to take this. What went through PartinG's head at this stage? Like, what was his thought process in order to claw it back and just then come away with such a great, convincing win?
좀 이제 게임 세트 모든 걸 봤을 때 좀 레인 선수가 이길 수도 있었던 순간들이 있었잖아요. 그런 순간들마다 이제 좀 무슨 생각이 들었나요?
그냥 윤종이 형이랑 같은 팀 생활할 때 랭킹 게임 같은 거 많이 했거든요. 그 팀 내에서 순위 결정전 같은 거. 근데 서로 이기고 지고를 많이 했는데 그냥 그때 생각이 좀 많이 났어요. 그냥 이게 뭔가 아직도 같은 팀인 것 같은 같은 팀에 같은 숙소에서 연습하고 있는 것 같은 느낌이 나가지고 맨날 그때도 서로 유리했다가 막 제가 유리했다가도 갑자기 역전당하고 그런 경우가 많았거든요. 그래서 그때 생각했던 게 그냥 실수만 안 하면은 유리하게 굳혀갈 수 있다. 그러니까 내가 이끌어갈 수 있다 승리를 그런 생각을 했는데 방심하는 걸 노렸는데 근데 윤종이 형이 확실히 좀 옛날보다는 좀 단단함이 사라져가지고 제가 좀 운 좋게 이기지 않았나 생각해요.
I love the long answer. I'm looking forward to this now.
Okay, now I lost it a little bit.
Oh no, I'm sorry, I've ruined it.
Again?
Now you made me forget what I asked. Now, see, no, it was the fact on the last game that Rain was potentially a little bit farther ahead.
Yeah. So 처음 어떻게 시작했죠?
SKT.
Don't interrupt a translator. That's
so,
bad.
Yeah, basically, because I was training with Rain a lot when we were in SKT, the games, like when I was in a bad spot and when it was like really close in those games, I really had like a flashback back to those training games I had with Rain when I was in SK. Like we had so many close games and so many games where we had like comebacks and stuff like that. And I really had to think about those games back in the time when we always trained together. And because of that, I also thought if I don't do any mistakes, I could win this because I'm in a really good shape. And at the moment, Rain is not performing that well. So I was really kind of waiting for his mistakes. And I think I was a little bit lucky that he did.
Okay, well, it was very nice of him to say that, admit that it was more luck on the side in that terms of things. Now, was there any mind games before the match between the two, or was it just kept completely nice and mannered?
그럼 좀 서로 잘 아니까 좀 마인드 게임 요소가 많았나요? 아니면 좀 다른 느낌이었나요?
당연히 마인드 게임이 심했고 윤종 형이랑 항상 할 때마다 마인드 게임이 진짜 많이 나왔어요. 근데 아까 1경기도 데드윙에서도 서로 똑같은 빌드를 하고 그리고 이제 게임 내적으로는 그러니까 프로들이 봤을 때는 딱 그런 게 심리전 같은 게 느껴지는데 그런 게 좀 많았거든요. 말로 설명하기는 좀 힘든데 좀 그런 게 있었고 하면서 좀 골치가 아팠어요. 그냥 내가 이걸 하면 왠지 또 그러니까 대처를 할 것 같고 그래서 하면서 약간 두려움이 있었는데 그래도 제 자신을 믿고 하니까 이기게 된 것 같아요.
Yeah, there were a lot of mind games going on. Like on the first map on on Deadwing, we kind of did the same build, and it's like if you think too much, it's gonna be a problem. So, but throughout the whole set, I had to think a lot of like, what does he do, and what should I do? But then doesn't he think that I would do something like that? And
yeah.
like so many thoughts, and yeah.
Cool. And now, obviously, what PartinG said in the interview prior to this game was that the winner between him and Rain, he feels is going to win the tournament. Does he still feel that confident? Obviously, he's been preparing massively for Zerg, and what do you reckon the scoreline is going to be in this best of 7?
이제 아까 인터뷰했을 때는 이번 이기는 사람이 우승할 거라고 했는데 아직도 그 생각의 변함이 없는지.
제 그냥 자신감은 우승은 맞는데 그래도 제가 항상 이렇게 마음속으로 먼저 나 이번에 우승이다 이런 생각하면 항상 져왔기 때문에 좀 방심은 좀 최대한 이렇게 좀 없애고 그냥 오늘 그러니까 이 대회를 하면서 제 자신을 좀 많이 믿게 됐어요. 원래는 연습 별로 그러니까 결승 GSL 파이널 끝나고 연습을 잘 못해가지고 솔직히 바로 탈락할 것 같다는 생각을 많이 하고 왔는데 이제 갑자기 많이 이기다 보니까 자신감도 많이 생겼고 그래서 이 기분 이 느낌 그대로 가면은 결승 솔직히 이길 것 같아요. 제가.
Yeah, so I still think I'm gonna win this tournament, and but I don't want to be really like overconfident because every time I thought I'm gonna win a tournament and I was too overconfident, I would end up losing in the finals. So yeah, I don't want it to happen like in the GSL. So I will try to not to think too much about the winning, but in the end, to be honest, I'm really, really confident to win this.
Straight back on what he said, but I'm glad he's confident. And just before we round this up, the final question I want to ask is, are we going to see a legendary ceremony prepared? And does he still get nervous in these kind of final situations?
세레모니 준비하신 게 있는지 그리고
He's laughing already.
그래도 이제 파이널이니까 좀 긴장이 되신지.
저는 해외 대회에서 아예 긴장 같은 거 안 하고 근데 긴장됐다면은 진짜 엄청 오랜만에 긴장했는데 아니 엄청 오랜만도 아니고 처음인 것 같은데 아까 윤종이 형이랑 할 때만 5경기 할 때만 좀 긴장됐고 그 전까지는 아예 긴장 같은 거 안 했는데 결승도 긴장 안 할 것 같고 그리고 세레모니 준비한 거는 저는 항상 준비는 거의 안 하고 그리고 무대도 이렇게 된지도 몰랐어요. 막 좀 엄청 막 넓고 막 경기장 같은 분위기인 줄 알았는데 영화관에서 하는 거잖아요. 그래서 좀 색다르워서 일단 우승하고 트로피 들고 나서 갑자기 제가 즉흥적으로 할 것 같아요. 제가 하고 싶은 대로.
So talking about the nervous thing, I don't think I'm gonna be nervous in the finals, but I was actually kind of nervous when I was in the fifth game against Rain, actually.
Oh, wow.
But in the finals, I won't be nervous at all. And the ceremony thing, I never really prepare any ceremonies, but I think it comes spontaneously. So when I get the trophy and hold it in my hands, I'll probably do something.
Good man. Well, hopefully we will see that if he makes it all the way and beats his opponent and takes the Gfinity Spring Masters Cup home. Thank you, PartinG, and thank you, Inu, once again, our fantastic translator for the entire event this time. We will be going for a quick break, and then we'll be coming back with the next game, which is going to be a best of 5 between Rogue and Hydra.
Run.